had to keep making it. I had to make a continuation of that dang video because I didn't. As you can tell, I was kind of rushed at the end. Certain things that I had to get to, like there's people who I know, call them friends, who are Christians, who may get misguided. The thing is, there's the Word of God. There's a man of God. Many people who've been assigned to Christianhood or whatever consider themselves Christians, even though they ain't read this Bible. They have no idea their agenda does not fall in line with anything. Um, some of these Christians, you go to church every Sunday. If you go to church every Sunday, this guy is going to say the Word of God, and therefore he's the man of God. Give him all his authority. He wears these robes. And so that's going to help me to go to heaven. And I just gotta give you this one hint. Because when I talk to certain people about certain topics, such as this, I can literally tell whether or not they've ever heard the Word of God, whether they've ever listened to the man of God. And I say, how do you know who's the man of God? How do you know when he's speaking the Word of God for sure? I tell you, it's inside of you. Inside of you knows, because this is what's going to happen. At least once when listening to this man. This is what's going to happen. You're going to want to feel like bursting out laughing hysterically. That's a feeling that's going to come over you when you hear the man of God speak the word of God. Not only that, you're going to feel like bursting out laughing, and at the same exact time, in the same exact breath, you're going to feel like crying, curling up into a ball and crying your eyes out at the same time. Your body will get goosebumps all over your body, and it'll be tingly, and you'll feel like just crying like a little girl and laughing hysterically. When this happens to you, guess what? You're hearing the man of God, and you're hearing the word of God. You need that. I gotta stress it. I think I've said this in another video, but you need this to go to heaven. I promise you, you do. If you want to make an investment right now, uh, I don't think you should buy gold or silver. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you should give me any money for any reason. That's not what I'm advocating. You need to invest in going to heaven or having a chance to go to heaven. Doesn't it sound like a good place to go? I mean, if you could do something that would make sure that you get there by making a simple investment, maybe you should think about making that investment. That's what I'm saying. You might not hear from me. I might not make you tingle and do whatever and laugh and cry. It's like I'll point you out to certain people who might, like my pastor, for example, Pastor James David Manning of Outlaw Worldwide, located in Harlem, New York. You might listen to him. Maybe he'll make you want to laugh and cry at the same time and get all tingly. And then you'll be knowing that you've heard the word of God. And so now, after you heard the word of God from the man of God, you'll know who that you need to follow. Like in the analogy that I stated before, if you want fresh produce, you're going to go to the farmer or a gardener who has that produce. To think that you can just magically say, "Oh, I have produce," because I thought about it and I had no direction on how to get it, but it ended up in my hands, is absurd. This is why you need a man of God, because you need an intermediary to help you. And the reason why this man is so important is because he constantly reads this Bible. He can't help it. It's like a nervous reaction. It's not even nervous, but it's like he has to on an almost day, like if not every day, every other day, a couple times a week at least, 2 or 3 times a week at least. And not only that, but he forms his agenda to be right exactly in line as close as possible with Jesus. Now, you can't, nobody's going to form their agenda completely exactly in line with Jesus. That's why he's Jesus. But you got to understand, as just a regular person, say you are a farmer. That's what you do. You're all in the fields all day and doing all that sort of stuff. You don't have as much time in your day to read the Bible as the man of God, to interpret these things the way he does. You simply don't have the time. So you have to meet up and link up with your man of God and listen to him and find out if he's a fraud or not. You need to do this if you want to go to heaven. I bring this particular point up because there's certain Christians that I know who are pretty good people. Their agenda is it's not congruent, but it comes close to the agenda of Jesus Christ. Looking for the man of God. Sometimes they feel like they've heard the man of God speak the word of God, and they haven't. They didn't realize that you're supposed to be laughing and crying at the same time, shivering, getting goosebumps in a real way. They didn't realize that they didn't feel that. They jumped the gun. They listen to people who are perverting the meaning of the scriptures in the Bible, who are preaching one thing and practicing a different thing in front of your face. At this point, I hope that you know that Joel Osteen and all these other people who are just like him, they might make you feel good, but they're not going to make you want to laugh and cry at the same time. They're not going to give you those goosebumps because you're not listening to the Word of God. The Word of God does not come out of their mouth. The Word of God does simply so that they can do different in their private lives. Spend all this money that you've been giving them. You need to drop them because of Joel Osteen and all these other, I don't even have to get into their names. You're going to figure it out. Figure out Joel Osteen, you got them all figured out. They're going to take you directly to hell. There are specific passages in the Bible that describe how they are going to take you and drag you to hell with them. You might say, well, I got good intentions. I'm a fairly good intentioned person. There's also passages in the Bible and elsewhere that describe that the road to hell is paved in good intentions. You might say, well, what does that mean? That might be over your head. I'll put it to you like this. Here's a prime example, because most of Satan's clique of people with power are into pedophilia. I'll put it to you like this. All the little children that they love to rape and murder and dispose of their bodies, those children would not even be available if it wasn't for people with good intentions, probably at some point coming together and having sex when they probably shouldn't have. Or maybe they had a child that they loved and they should have done it and they did it and this child was kidnapped. But like I say, the devil went ahead and snatched that up. He can use good intentions that create positive things like children, and he can snatch them up. That's just one example of how good intentions might not result in furthering the cause of Christ. You can have good intentions, I hope everyone does, but read this Bible. Read this book, please. I'm not telling you to become a Christian or be in my ministry. Read this book. You're going to figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out quick. Anyways, this is May the 13th, 2015.